so wanted to say something naughty, but I shall hold my tongue.
Calling out something I said, no doubt.
No, just to be a smart aleck.
Okay. I need to change to my avatar so I can have my cool little. I don't think I've revealed this to the chat yet. Al's got his awesome Al Baca avatar that he did there. Let me see if which one is up there. Let's see, stop cam. That's my face. And edit avatar. There we go. Now we're ready for Scoundrels. Daniel Heron for $2. Queen Bree had an enlightening live stream. Yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention today. Queen Bree has her own YouTube channel now, and as I said in the Facebook groups, the fact is she's trying to. She wants to get ahead of this because it's only a matter of time before she's pursued for her privilege, and she wants to don't say anything about that. Don't say anything about that. I still need to be the figurehead. That's what she's doing. That's very transparent. But Stephen Cruz says, you're so right. Living in LA, I encounter a lot of people who want to tear anything down, and when you ask if they have any solutions, the cat's got their tongue. It's crazy. Absolutely. It's cool. It's hip to talk about how things are wrong. About it. Oh, sounds smart if I just talk about how they're wrong, So anyway, we'll transition on over here. How are you, Al? How things?
All right. Netter's Network asking how mom is. She's doing better. In therapy, she's sore and tired and aching, but she's at a place where she's getting some rehab, and we'll see what happens.
Sounds good. We'll keep those.
Yeah, keep all the prayers going, and thanking everyone for the prayers and the continuing prayers.
Absolutely. So let's check out the chat. I do believe that Paladin Demo was first, but he just came in griping about the Star Wars content again, so he doesn't count. So Mr. Matchstick, you're first again. Paladin Demo, the plan is to do Dune after this book, but you keep up with that. I think we're going to have to launch into Shadows of the Empire or something. Stephen Cruz was third. Welcome, sir. Melissa Harris, Chris P., and then Netter's Network was fifth. Casey Scott, Daniel Heron, as I said, Mr. Troy Pacelli, Tom Spiegel, welcome, sir. Joshua V. There will crew in here. So, Sound Engraver was there too. Congratulations. Notification you were on live. And you got a commercial for the ad. That's good. Yeah, because we were talking about that the other day, how it kind of felt like my channel had been shadow banned for a lot of people, because a lot of you have been telling me how it's not what you weren't getting notifications, or it wasn't coming across as a recommended channel. Part of that too, of course, is my problem, is my fault for not putting out a lot of videos lately, just sticking to the live streams, which was just a time thing, which is one of the reasons why I want to make that intro its own video. But good to know that that's showing up there. And we had Daniel Heron with his super chat there, reminding me of that. So welcome, Mr. Torrin Clegane as well. Welcome. Me as Han Solo looks kind of like Eugene from Tangled. Only they got the nose right. That's right. A little Tangled inside joke there. I prefer Flynn Rider to Eugene. Thank you. That's a much more suave, debonair sounding name. So Al, let's go ahead and talk about some Scoundrels. What did you think of these 4 chapters? Last time I remember you said, I just want to set this up.
I'm sorry, it glitched on me.
Okay. All good. You had said that so far the first 4 chapters didn't really quite catch you or grip you as much as the Thrawn trilogy. You enjoyed it, but it wasn't quite the same experience, which it shouldn't be the same experience because it's a different genre.
It's a different story. It's the slow build. It's like if anybody remembers the film The Sting or anything like that. It's that slow build up to the I don't know what you would call it, to the thing they're planning, and it's it's going to take a while to get there. But yeah, this one, it had a few little more exciting parts to it. The pheromone factor, and of course Chewbacca's heroic jungle maneuvers.
I knew you'd love that.
And Winter hanging on for her life, literally. Mm-hmm. But exactly. just to set up and trying to figure out the weak link, which, well, I already know there's one weak link. I don't know if he's going to be the ultimate weak link or not, but definitely a weak link.
Yeah. Everything you're saying there, you're describing the tension. We're setting up the tension. We're really pacing things out with good tension, which is quite incredible the way they do it, or the way Zahn does it here. But it is a very different book. You said that well. Somebody, as a comment on some video before, was saying that Scoundrels, they were mad because Scoundrels doesn't even feel like a Star Wars book. Well, I can understand that if for you want every Star Wars book to feel like one of the, trilogy movies, sure. Yeah. This feels like plenty of enough Star Wars to be set in the universe, but it's an example of how you can explore different genres within the mother genre.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's still space opera, but it's also an espionage heist thing before it,
Yeah, they're not. You're not always going to have trying to blow up a Death Star or Jedi's going after each other.
Exactly.
That's just the nature of things.
Yeah. So, the other thing I want to talk about before we really get into the specifics of the chapter is that we're going to see the amazing pacing of Zahn, in these 4 chapters in particular. As we've been introduced, we've met our characters, we know the team, and we don't really we haven't gotten to know some of the characters yet, on a better level, but we know some of the ones we've known from, and we know all the names and all the basic skill sets that are on the team. We know the initial challenge that's before them. But if you're going to make this a novel and you're not going to make it just a quick little, episode or comic book, then you need to have some complications. You need to have some, that this will happen and then they'll have to overcome that challenge, but then this will challenge, they have to come over that. And it's really easy in a heist book like this, or a story where you have so much details and exposition and information that the readers need to know to understand the plot and to understand the challenge of this thing that they're doing. They need to know that. It's really hard to deliver all that information well and not bore the reader. You've got to be a master of pacing with the tension, with the action, with the telling. And I think we really see that with Zahn here in these chapters. Would you agree with that much? Or?
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that he makes use of to do that, and again, then we'll get to the specifics, is Aristotle's unities. The poetic or dramatic unities. Aristotle wrote a big treatise on Greek plays, basically, and he's one of his criteria. He thought any good Greek tragedy should maintain the 3 unities. It should have a unity of place. Let's say unity of action first. We'll cover that one first. Unity of action first. Everything should more or less pertain to and be about the same action. So you can't have for Aristotle, he would not have enjoyed some big sort of biographical epic, of a family or something like that. No, stick to one action. Then he said unity of place. Everything should more or less take place in the same geographical area. You can't fudge together, different parts of this and that. And then he said unity of time. So you need to have a specified. For him, it was should be ideally a 24-hour period. But now these seem like really strict rules, and he was applying them to Greek tragedy, and you certainly can think of some wonderful stories, even stories we've read. The Thrawn trilogy, would break these unities, strictly speaking. So they're guides, they're kind of, rules of thumb, and you can use them more or less depending on what effect you want. For a story like this, where you've got this big galactic universe, that you're playing in, but you're just going to stick it on one planet so that you can tell a story about these characters who aren't Jedi, who aren't some superpowered aliens. They're scoundrels, they're smugglers, they're trying to pull off a heist. You need to raise the stakes and make it feel real to them. So unity of place is vital. Everything, for the most part, happens there on Wokar. We did see Han go off, to a couple of places to recruit his people a little bit there, but for the most part, everything's on Wokar. You've got unity of action in that everything's about restoring Ainger's credits. That's the heist. Now they have to do like a precursor mission first, a reconnaissance. They have to do this. They have to do these little things, but everything pertains to the one heist. And then what did I just do? I did use place and action, and then time, unity of time. you want to answer this, Al, or should I let the chat have a chance of answering it? What is the time structure or the time restriction that Zahn is built into this story?
Let the chat have a shot at this.
Well, not the chat. What is the time restriction that Zahn is organic into this heist story? Why? What? Are you okay, Al?
Your fate. I'm getting roboting from you a little bit.
Roboting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's me or if it's you.
Let me make sure.
It's like I'm getting that high squelch a little bit sometimes halfway through what you're saying.
Roboting is a thing. Sound Engraver is the first to get it. Yes, the 4-day festival, the Festival of the Four Honorings, exactly. And they set that up.
Yeah.
Gold star for Sound Engraver there. Yeah, they set that up in the beginning when Inger tells Han the best way to do this is probably going to be at this Festival of Four Honorings because the Marblewood estate, the security will be stretched thin and so forth. So we had that set up. It's not a 24-hour period, and it doesn't need to be necessarily, but you've got this impending event coming. And you can slow your narrative time down or speed it up as much as you want as a writer. But as long as you've got this sort of event coming along, it keeps you on your toes as a writer to keep everything concise and compact. And the readers feel a little safer, too. They know that you're not going to jump 20 years down the road or something like that, So there's that. Jay sounds tattooing Ghosts, which he was reading. Oh, yeah, it's Tom Spiegel talking about another story. I don't think I've read Tattooing Ghosts yet. I've heard good things about it, though, yeah. Remember, I'm kind of spotty with my EU experience thus far, but I'm working on it. Trying to get it all taken care of. So chapter 5. Let's finally get into some specifics here. We've got the team. Rochelle got them their suite. She was able to obtain them their suite, even with everybody coming in to the city and booking up all the rooms for the festival. And they decided that the first thing they need to do is they need some reconnaissance. They've been scoping out Marblewood Estate, Villagor's home there, and they've been seeing the speeders come and go at different times of the day, and they're trying to do something kind of top secret, but they can't help but to maintain patterns and specifics. So they've got their team there to call these out. So they're on this reconnaissance mission. And one of the things that go ahead.
Trying to look nondescript, basically. They just don't want to be scoped out.
Exactly. Fred Leggett said I am roboting a little bit. Okay, so it's not just you, Al. You guys let me know if that's becoming a real problem. I don't know what I can do about it, but I'll try to do something. So it sounds like it's just now and then, though, right, Al?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let me know if it gets to be a big problem, because I know that's not very fun to listen to. So you've got this team of characters. Some of them are going to be extremely well known to even a casual Star Wars fan. Louis, Han, Chewie. Lando, Han, and Chewie. Then you've got readers.
Did you say Louis, Han, and Chewie?
I did. Yeah. Well, I talked about the statue of St. Louis earlier, and then Chewie, Lando, Louis. Yeah, Enjoy that, Al. Glad to see you. Glad to see you went ahead and stopped the clock so you could thoroughly enjoy that before we move on.
I'm sorry. It just hit me funny. Louis Calrissian.
So you've got these characters who are well known. Then you've got the characters who are going to be well known to people with sort of a casual knowledge of the EU, such as Winter. Trying to think of any other one. I mean, Shizor, of course, but he's not a player here. Now, again, I don't know if some of these characters might have been mentioned before this book was written here and there, but to my knowledge, a lot of these characters are new, or at least would be new to most readers, like Bink, Tavia, Zerba, stuff like that. Maybe they popped up somewhere before. I don't know, but I'm just going to go by the general experience of most readers. So you need to establish the dynamics of this team. It's a large cast of characters, and one way to do that, which he does right at the beginning of chapter 5, is to divide them up. We've got these 3 people are going to be here. So Lando, Chewie, and Inger are in the speeder up top, watching everything from below, trying to do the bird's eye view, watching the back up. Then you've got, who is it? Bink, Han, and Dozer in individual speeders trying to tail people so it doesn't look too obvious. And then in the room there, you had Tavia, Winter, and Rochelle still in the room, right? And they were coordinating something from there. see. And you as always, you skip or stop me if you want to bring up something that I'm skipping.
Okay. I was just wondering if Chewie is with Lando to keep an eye on him.
Well, Chewie wanted Lando as part of the mission, remember?
Yeah, but I can still see Han asking him, just keep an eye on him.
Yeah. Well, Ainger's with them, of course. He can do the least amount of damage. He is the unknown quantity, as you were saying there. But we do have a little bit of going into what was the last thing that made Lando upset with Han. And I kind of like this idea. We know that in Empire Strikes Back, something happens that clearly is going to have to happen after this or at the end of this for Han to think that Lando might be angry with him again. But even right,
coming back here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what is that thing that he pulled, right? But here, when they meet again for this, there's something else in their past. So I kind of think it's neat how Zahn is establishing in this story, whether it's established elsewhere in the EU probably, but in this story, how this is an ongoing thing with them. And it's something that basically it comes down to, especially in a conversation they'll have later, that Han is just too trusting. He jumps on things and deals too fast, and then the details don't work out or something like that, and his allies end up kind of bearing the brunt of that, which would obviously have a good bearing on this story. So.
Which I wonder about, because you would think Han Solo, who's not exactly on the best terms with Jabba the Hutt at this point, would be a little more discerning when it comes to his friends.
Yes. At the same time, he tried to be, right? Remember, they made a list of the people that they would want to be on this crew, but they had to keep going down to like number 8, 9, and so which weren't available.
Yeah.
True. So it's like the circumstance, but you're right. But the circumstance kind of forces his hand too.
But even then, he's still kind of, okay with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he's a good reader. He's a good schmoozer, and he's a good leader of the team, as we see. We also see this idea, this theme, some subtle things I want to point out of levels. It's built into the story already. These are scoundrels. These are the lowest caste of the society or whatever, the criminal element. And then we see the aristocracy of Wokar here, with Villajor and the criminal element, and you see all these different levels of society. But then visually, we keep getting the repetition of this visual of levels. So the speeders that they're using actually can go quite high into the air, but they're maintaining a low altitude, so they don't have to watch so many sides and watch their back in so many different angles or whatever. So you got the speeders going up and down. You got Bink and Tavia scaling walls up and down. We've got different levels of lookouts here, because you've got, as again, the three of them, Han, Bink, and Dozer on the ground, tailing the speeders there. You've got Han, Chewie, and Lando, Chewie, and Inger in the top speeder, but then they spy one of Villajor's speeders somewhere in between those levels on the lookout for anybody that might be on the lookout, right? So you got all these different levels, right? And that can also play into the idea of, I love his Villager says later, tests within tests within tests, and you've got to be this paranoia built into this kind of heist thing. Well, yeah, what if this is, that's going on?
Yeah, he is a paranoid little birdie.
Yeah. The team would do that too, right? When they think, why aren't they making a move yet? And Dozer's like, maybe they're just toying with us because they've got backup coming. But no, if they did, so there's all this second guessing. Everything's second guessed. There are all these different multiple levels to the possible plot and story. We're so, and they need to be concerned about that if they're going to survive this. It makes sense. So they find out that there's this room, there's this other suite that they've been going to. They found their tale is successful, and Rochelle is able to get them a room in this place. I like they said, is there any way you can get us a room close to that suite? And she's like, oh, I don't know, the festival or whatever. It says, to the complete lack of surprise of everyone, except possibly Rochelle herself, Rochelle did indeed get them a room. Little touches like that, like there's a humility to Rochelle, even though she's so competent at this one, at her job in the crew. I like that. We also get them coming together here because they decide, okay, they need reconnaissance. They've got to get into that suite. So we have a mini heist before the big heist. This is really good. If you think about your plot in a story, it should be like a gradual climb. And at the very top of that mountain is your climax at the end of the book. The climax, and everything's worked out, the big showdown, at the end of your story. And if you back away far enough, it's a steady incline. But if you get into the specifics, it should be a little bit of an incline, dip down a little bit, go back up, dip down a little bit, go back up. You need that's pacing. That's good pacing and tension, and that's what you kind of need to get the knack of as a writer when you're plotting out your stories and gaining experience in it. How much is too much time to spend in this challenge and so forth. And we're in that rising action stage, of the acts. As we think of this book in a 3-act structure too. So, getting to know the characters though, Bink and Tavia, we know that they're sisters. We know they're fiercely protective of each other. We know that Bink is the daredevil one, the actual one that does the ghost thieving. Tavia is sort of the on-ground tech kind of person. And we get a little bit more of their background. I like the fact that Winter, most people were going to know Winter from the Thrawn trilogy and elsewhere. But first we're in Bink's perspective. So again, if you got this many characters, you want to juggle perspectives if you're going to do this omniscient narrator, anybody's interiority. So I'm on page 72, for example. We're in Bink's interiority. Winter, oddly enough, was almost the exact opposite. Bink is sizing everybody up. She wasn't much older than Kel, but her eyes held a startling depth of age and maturity. She had a natural poise, too, the kind of grace and self-assurance that Bink could also see in Rochelle. Did that mean Winter, like Rochelle, was a member of some world's aristocracy? And if so, what in the Empire was she doing in the Gang of Thieves? Was she in it for revenge? Here, Solo's voice brushed into Bink's musings. She blinked the thoughts away and found him holding one of Rochelle's fancy electro binoculars. So you've got time for those little musings about each other's characters, but they're interspersed with the actual action. We're keeping you onto the task, keeping you on the action, the scene at hand.
Yeah, you said page 72. I guess you're the hardcover. 79 for those with the mass market.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got the hardcover. Yeah, it's good to give those two differences there. So they've got the security systems here. Even the security systems are wheels within wheels or levels within levels, because Villagers people who have this suite there at the hotel disabled the hotel security system so they could put up their own. And it's like, you don't trust anybody or anything, and you've always got to back up. It's just like, again, just so we're seeing this everywhere from every character, every party. And the plan. So this is we've got this first little initial heist here. Bink needs to get into that suite. So she's going to use these grapples and these harnesses and whatnot. But they probably got, I forgot what it was called, but a sensor for a power sensor in the window. Mm-hmm. So she can't use a powered source. She's got to do it basically grappling from tree to tree, just freehand, or the powerless harness anyway, upping the tension there. And of course that paves the way for Chewie's involvement, which is just awesome.
Yeah. And there was one thing, because when they were talking about, cutting through the windows and stuff, someone suggested Zerba's lightsaber. I think it was Dozer.
Yeah.
Just like his name, it seems like he just wants to bowl right through, push right through.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the thinker, basically. Yeah. So they had to remind him about that.
He's a fascinating character because, we talked about how Zerba, for example, had the performer's ego and the very sensitive, he could be, he needs his ego stroked just the right way, Dozer's a little bit like that too, because Dozer feels like he can do the con man thing, but you're right too. He's not one to sit back and think everything through necessarily either. Thinks on his feet and stuff. So yeah. Then once Winter asks to stay behind with Rochelle and Tavia. Once Bink is going to go do this, on this heist, everybody's got their different roles and their different places and everything. Winter asks to stay there because she's good at observing, her memory and whatnot. And we've got an initial bonding that already starts to happen between Bink, Tavia, Rochelle, and Winter. As Winter really kind of taps into this, because we were in Bink's interiority. We're going to jump to Winter's here in a little bit. But we've got Lando. Just again, if you've got new characters, you want to have your characters that are already known and already trusted vouch for them to a certain degree. That eases the transition for the readers to accept these characters, or just got certain things about them. Now, you do that far overboard, you get your Mary Sue's or your Gary Stu characters, but just lightly. So like Lando looked up from his data pad, she'll be fine. You assured Tavia, she's done this 1,000 times. This is not the trickiest thing I've seen her do. Just establishing competence for Bink and whatnot. But we also get a little bit of Tavia's backstory. We know she's worried about her sister. They've got this close relationship, and Winter is very empathetic, with her insight into the human, psyche, with her memory and whatnot. And she knows that Tavia needs to talk a little bit. You know, you've been doing this long, Winter asks, since we were 10, Tavia said. Not the ghost burglar stuff, not at first, but the whole life on the fringe thing. She looked sideways at Winter. She added, the defensive edge in her voice. Our father was killed in the Clone Wars, and Mom died a few years later. We had no other relatives and no friends. It was this or starve to death. You know, so you start to get a little. No, we don't need. That's all we need. We don't need to know every element of their past. That's that little paragraph for this big of a cast. That's enough. We know. We understand their bond as sisters. We understand this isn't necessarily the profession they would necessarily choose, at least Tavia, but it's something that was forced upon them. You know, you're good. You know, that's good little bite-sized chunks. Again, pacing, tension, and everything. Then we get Winter's interiority. So remember, if like us, you're coming to this straight from the Thrawn trilogy that we just read beforehand, you know from the Thrawn trilogy that Winter grew up with Princess Leia. But now you're asking, unless you've read all the ins and outs of the EU and everything, you're wondering, okay, what's going on with Winter at this point, right after the New Hope, you know, because she was an agent for the rebellion. And now we know. So Winter was talking about the experience and the trials of having this memory and how hard it is. Long ago, Winter had occasionally tried explaining the reality of her gift to someone of the people around her. Now she no longer even made the effort. The one exception to that rule was Leia. The princess had enough troubling memories of her own that she might actually understand and appreciate Winter's burden. And then there's the wondering of, is Leia even alive still? So you get the idea that she hasn't had any contact with Leia because she's been on this special mission of the rebellion. Alderaan was destroyed, of course, you know, so she's a lot of worry there, a lot of things going on there, you know. And then Winter is the one to notice the complication. So this was just a fringe an initial heist to do some reconnaissance, find out what's going on in that suite. This is the wrinkle. So some good tension there. Winter notices there's something different about that data pad that she saw the man bring in with the electro binoculars.
Where are you at right now?
I'm on page 83.
Huh. I must have gotten behind.
I'm skipping along a little bit because, you know, we don't want to.
I guess because you didn't even bring in the Falleen guy that kind of like freaked a couple people out.
Did that happen yet?
Yeah, was it are you in chapter 6?
Yeah, chapter 6.
Yeah, this was the end of chapter 5. They saw the Falleen. It's a Falleen ninja confirmed.
No, I wasn't really going to
talk. Falleen doing here?
Yeah, I wasn't going to talk about him so much until Dozer has his encounter with him. But yeah, you're right. They do. Okay. They see him beforehand. Yeah. Is there anything else?
I thought you were going to mention him. That's why I didn't. I was like, wait a minute. We didn't hear about Winter in this chapter yet. I was like, okay, you were ahead of me. Sorry.
No. I mean, you're right. They do notice the Falleen, and Falleens are bad news, and that's good tension too. I mean, it is good to go ahead and mention they notice him because you've got a big deal like the Falleen, and it's going to be trouble. And you're going to have some heavy scenes. You want to drop little seeds of that to build up that tension, so you don't just drop it like a ton of bricks on people.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I just like I said, got a little off the flow. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah, it's good to stop me and bring those up. So yeah, we're going to delve into that more once Dozer has his encounter here. But so that noticing this wrinkle, noticing this different kind of data pad, we don't know what it is yet, at this point in the book, but Winter needs to get a closer look. Winter needs to get over there. Well, this is a change of plans. It's a dangerous change of plans. She's trying to strip the power pack off of the harness. No, she just needs to get there. I like how Chewie is just he's like this guardian angel. Like he knows a little bit or enough about everything to be helpful in just every case. And he's got this sort of, he's always there. He knows, and she's not going to be able to do it. He sees that. Mm-hmm. She doesn't even know how to strip the right, all the power parts off of the harness, so it won't trigger the sensor.
Yeah.
And of course, we know that of Wookiee's arboreal descent. We know his claws. We've seen him swing around the trees. Mm-hmm. In trilogy.
Basically,
so
Chewie.
We know that he can do this.
Chewie is more than just a Wookiee. Right.
Very true. I
wonder if somebody got that. Okay.
Al takes great exception to the cast of characters. Chewie, a Wookiee. Like, he's so much more than that. He's the best friend. He's the loyal heart. He's
a mechanic. He's the muscle. Come on.
For the dramatis personae, everybody has to be reduced labels, but I understand. Yeah, I don't dispute the point. So Chewie helps her get over there, Hey, at least I'm catching myself when I keep saying the wrong names this time. We don't have a Thrawn card situation going on so far in this book.
Which is surprising with so many, like, Inger, Dozer, and
I know
all those guys.
I know. Good tension here too, though. When they're very much just sort of flying by the seat of their pants, trying to get over there. The sort of half harness, and Chewie's taking her over. They finally get to the room, and good tension. Winter had a grip on the window and was starting to open it when across the room, the door opened and a big, rough-looking man strode in. She froze, knowing how horribly exposed she was, knowing that at any moment, any movement would instantly catch the man's eye. Great sentence, divided up by the commas there at the bottom of 86 in the hardbook cover. She froze, comma, knowing how horribly exposed she was, comma, but also knowing that any movement would instantly catch the man's eye. Chewie apparently knew that too, and also froze. The man walked past the back of the safe to a pair of chairs flanking a small table, pulling out a data pad as he did so. He started to sit down, turning his back briefly to the window, and then you got the M dash. The M dash is it's when you on a keyboard you type 2 hyphens and then you click spacebar, and as long as you've got something before those 2 hyphens, it should automatically transform into an M dash, at least in Word and whatnot. And people use the M dash incorrectly all the time. They think it's an ellipsis, like an etc. It's not. The M dash means something was interrupted abruptly. So if you've got somebody interrupted in the middle of speech or interrupted in the middle of action, that's the M dash. ... is then they prattled on and said a bunch of other things too. Common thing people get wrong.
Yeah, I can just picture like this huge, these people, one of them a giant Wookiee, and this guy does not notice anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, Fred Leggett. This is a Zahn novel. This is one of the last EU novels written before Disney decided to destroy it with their Death Star. But yeah, this was a Timothy Zahn novel, 2014, 14 or 11. I forget. Numbers hard. You know me. Back to the drawing board said all this establishing of the setting and equipment, what it can do is so restricting. Just fly through at light speed and grab the loot. It'll subvert their expectations.
2013.
I hear you, man. 2013. Thank you. So they're in trouble now. That M dash, that interruption means that Chewie took advantage of the man turning his back. So Chewie got her out of there, out of the windowsill. So they're fine, except that Bink is still in the room, right? They've already talked to Bink. Bink is on the other side of the safe. So surely, and I like the way it ends with this little space, in the text. Winter says, hopefully somebody back in the room with the electro binoculars saw what they saw, and they can get word to somebody who can come help. Otherwise, Bink would be trapped in there. So I like how that ends. Winter craned her neck to look behind her at the distance, with the trees partially blocking her view. She couldn't tell whether or not Tavia and Lando had spotted the problem. She could only hope fervently that they had, and that they could come up with something to do about it. Space. Got it, Dozer acknowledged, clicking off his comm link. He pulled open the stairwell door, exchanged nods with Zerba. So, you got it. It worked, And this is another. So we got that trio, or that, quartet or whatever, how many of them were in there. But you've got Winter kind of working well with Bink and Tavia, sort of bonding. Chewie, of course, he's going to do things well. And now we've got Dozer showing up a little competence and a little bit of Zerba. We also have Kel, our other unknown quantity, is going to shine in for this a little bit. But I love what Dozer says. He's walking in. He's got his little what's the company that he delivery
quick line courier service.
Quick line courier service. Yeah, suit on because he's going undercover. As he walked, he smiled tightly to himself. Calrissian might have the looks and the smile and the easy charm, and maybe that was all Solo wanted for this job, or at least all he thought he wanted. But Calrissian was nothing more than a smuggler and occasionally lucky gambler. Boosting ships was the job that took real con artist skills. Time to show them how a professional did it. I just like that little charge into battle, cry, a little boosting up of himself. And he does extremely well. The text establishes his competence. I love the little breaks it takes in the middle of his acting. So, are you Master Tallboy? Dozer asked. Winced back like a man who knows he's about to deliver unwelcome storm man. So all these things are pre-calculated. Descenders, Dozer said, letting more nervousness and a little confusion creep into his voice, just so everything's, on par there. And then, of course, part of the plan, too, wasn't just to rely on Dozer's acting, but for the little, I forget what they call it, the little bomb that Kel this invented, not really to do much damage at all, but just to cause a ruckus to get Bink out of there, to get people, move people around where they should be. And then Dozer can talk his way out of the rest. And I think Zerba did the delivery system for it. So again, everybody participating, coming into little teams and dynamic stuff established.
It was interesting play with keeping Dozer there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
But of course, Dozer's about to get his pants wet.
Exactly. So here's his encounter with Quasati, the Falleen. And I like that we don't see the Falleen into the room. We're in Dozer's perspective, and you just hear the voice behind him. And then it says, for Quicklime Courier Service, a new voice put in calmly. Dozer felt his stomach tighten. On the surface, the voice was quiet, peaceful, and quite civilized. But that air of civilization was molecule thin, and beneath it was something cold and dark and very, very evil. That is great. That's great prose. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that we saw the Falleen pheromones at work a little bit with Villagor, but not really, because he wasn't really trying to, work him over. So you got little tastes of this, but now you see it really coming to the forefront. And this is Dozer, the one who's been so calculating and so able to just give the right amount of information. And eventually the Falleen, because I asked, are you indeed a courier? Azil asked. Dozer swallowed, a flood of guilt and regret washing over him. The Falleen standing before him was honorable and caring. To even think about lying to such a person felt like a betrayal of all that was right and proper about the universe. And yet a small, nagging part of his mind remembered that there was a reason that Dozer was here. Something about all this that was vital. He kept secret from even this splendid Falleen, vital to other people's lives as well as Dozer. So he's got this quandary. Maybe he could have it both ways. Dozer had certainly brought the security case in here at Solo's request. So, yes, he said, I'm a courier. It's finding those little cracks to slip through.
The little mental gymnastics.
Exactly. For Quicklime Courier Service, given it really exists, and Dozer was literally its only employee, yes. Did you have anything to do with that explosion? The squeaker had been Kel's handiwork, the delivery system had been Zerba's, and the plan had been Solo's. No, Dozer said. So he gets out of it, but he's rattled, extremely rattled.
Because he almost gave it up, and he knows he almost gave it up, and it freaked him out.
Exactly. Yeah, somebody could get in, because that's the ultimate weapon against a con man or against a heist. Scoundrels who are pulling this kind of job, the ultimate weapon is to blur their faculties. To not their success is vitally dependent on how far ahead they can think past the other guy. And if you fog their faculties to think, with these pheromones or whatever, that's the perfect threat to them.
So. And how, with a hair less care on his part, he would have given the whole thing away.
Exactly. So that's brought us up through chapter 6. Did you have anything about chapter 6 you wanted to mention before we launch into 7?
No, I think you pretty much got it.
Okay. So Winter's saying that this is what they've got here is a cryodex, and she explains what a cryodex is, an Alderanian. I don't know the pronunciation there at the moment, but
Alderanian,
device, and it's kind of complicated, but just to sort of give it the rundown, it's you need another one, or you can't crack it. Basically, you need another one to be able to read the files. It's this really high, super advanced system, but because it's so hard to crack or whatever, and you need other ones or whatever, they kind of fell out of use. And when Alderaan was destroyed, of course, a bunch of them were destroyed as well, so there are not many left. Basically, the point is it provides a lot more challenge to them to do anything with them. And we know that they're using blackmail files. So the first realization of the team is that these Falleen are involved, and these Falleen are a real threat. They kind of saw the Falleen before, but now it's a big deal. And I like the fact that this is something they all kind of have to come to terms with. They've all done pretty well. I mean, they thought on their toes. They were able to adapt on the fly when problems arose, and they got out of there okay. But now they've got to regroup. And I like, that Dozer's kind of freaking out, and Han's like, you're getting everybody else jumpy. I like Han says, Dozer's right. Having a Faline involved could mean trouble, but Bink's also right. There's a lot of credits on the line, enough for all of us to make a brand new life for ourselves if we want. And you got Lando maybe kind of doing a dig at him. It's like when the perfect hand comes along, Lando murmured. You have to see it, recognize it, and bet big. Han frowned, wondered if that was some sort of dig at him, but Lando was merely gazing thoughtfully down at the center table. Anyway, Lando was the least of his worries right now. All of Dozer's ranting about his newly minted nervousness was starting to seep into the rest of the group. If the man didn't shut up, he might unravel the whole thing. So again, Han being he's way out of his wheelhouse being a smuggler, but he's using his people skills, using his ability to lead. That he'll eventually use as a general, we know, but really good to see him, kind of take that role more naturally and assertively there. Now, like he says, let's take a few minutes, he suggested. Go wander around the suite, stare out at the city, get a drink, do whatever you want, think about it, and we'll meet back here in an hour, okay? So they're all agreed to that. First wrinkle, the Falines and the great threat that they are, and they're going to decide if they still want to do this. Now we jump to a character we haven't seen for a while, and he's the addition. He's the extra party in this kind of story. Because in a heist story, all you technically need is the person getting robbed and those doing the robbing. These are the two sides of the battle there. But go ahead.
About Deja,
mm-hmm.
Were you re-listening to the audio?
A little bit. I've been interspersing the audio with the text. Why? Which part?
Is it me, or is he making Deja sound like George Takei?
I never would have got that until you said it, but you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was sitting there going, "This sounds familiar. Who is it?" And then, like in my head goes, "Oh my, you can't."
Maybe if he ever laughs, then you'll be able to tell for sure.
Oh, must maybe.
So Deja's the extra. Deja and his other his coworker, I forget his name right off the bat, but the Shul, yeah. They're there for the Empire. They are there, but even the Empire is not free from these different levels within levels and inner workings, as we'll see. But Deja had spied them, keeping an eye out and staking out Marblewood, so he decided to go backtrack them. Found out where they were. Now he's going to drop in. He drops on the balcony. He calls out. He corners Inger when Inger steps out, and Inger's kind of the weakest sheep. He's the wounded gazelle that's easy to kind of get and bully out. But I like the way Deja kind of understands intuitively some things about Inger. Inger is he was sort of high society there, at least his smuggling ring or whatever his father owned. They were considered upper class. We got that a little bit before when it was beneath him to have to learn the Wookiee language and stuff like that. And Deja asks him when he's trying to slowly schmooze him into getting some information. He says, am I right to accept that you're, or tell me, are you confined to this suite, or can you come and go as you like? Inger snorted under his breath. The latter, of course, he said. Did you think I was a prisoner? Playing on that pride a little bit. Okay, well, if you're not a prisoner, here, let's play pool. Let's just do that. Come be among equals if you are, the status you think you are, or whatever. And he's going to end up, but he tells him, that he is the Empire, but he's not there for the same reasons they are. He wants these blackmail files in there. So Deja is basically going to use the heist to his advantage. That's what he wants to do. He wants to be a third player, just kind of connecting some threads to maybe help the heisters along, but really getting his own end in the outcome is what he wants. So an interesting extra quantity. We'll kind of see how that mixes into the fray.
Mm-hmm.
Inger goes ahead and tells first we get let's see. Yeah, that was the end of chapter 7. They do their pool, game, and they come to that understanding. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about chapter 7 before we jump to our last chapter?
No, you're pretty much hitting it.
Okay. So we've got chapter 8 now. Inger's telling them some things about.
Well, like I said, Inger's a little free with the info about how much they're, and everything. That's
yeah,
dude, come on.
Exactly. He doesn't have the experience. The other was one who played things far closer to the vest, especially you got an Imperial, agent here. Mm-hmm. So, he picked the wounded gazelle, the one that he could have some influence over, definitely.
Yeah, and of course, Black Sun being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the big reveal at chapter 8. So they just gotten over the fact that Faline were involved. It was really dangerous. Mm-hmm. Now the bomb that Inger comes back and drops on them is that, oh yeah, by the way, it's all Black Sun too. It's not just Villagor as the sort of crime owner of this little planet. Nope, the freaking Black Sun is involved, who are the big major threat. And they've got this prospect here and they eventually have to ask too. Let's see. So Han is already again, being the leader, he asked Winter if she could make them a fake cryodex. He's got a plan. He's piecing together the plan. He asked Tavia, if she can make a spitmitter or whatever it's called, specmitter or whatever, to all these tools they're going to need. And you got the right people in the room like Inger to ask what this or that is so that you can justify the narration or the prose actually telling the story, actually slowing down to explain things. But as we're moving out here, we come to that same question again. Are they still going to continue even given this new information? Dozer's lips compressed. I want to make sure we're all still in this together, he said. I mean, we're talking about Black Sun. That's not what any of us signed up for. Fair enough, Han agreed, looking around the room. And here was where it all either held together or fell apart. Anyone want to say something? There was a brief silence. There's still 163 million in the vault, right? Bink asked at last. Of course, Inger said. We're still in, Bink said. She nudged her sister, right? Tavia didn't look very happy, but she gave a dutiful nod, right? Plus, whatever the blackmail files are worth, Winter spoke up, depending on who we can attract as a buyer and what could easily triple our final take. So the blackmail files make it even sweeter pot, adds incentive, even given all the extra danger. Good enough for me, Zerba says. Me too, Kel, so and so on. Lando's and Dozer says that's fine. He'll be in them. But Dozer, again, at first he was sort of is he going to cause trouble? Lando showing up and kind of taking his role. Then is he going to cause trouble because he was rattled so much by the falling? Now is he going to cause trouble because the Black Sun are involved? So,
and that's what makes me wonder about Dozer. It's easy to go, yeah, I could see Dozer blowing this whole thing, but it's almost like if he is, it's almost like it's being set up too early,
right?
Like it's a
red herring.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's actually better than what I was trying to think of. Yes, a red herring. Thank you.
Yeah. I that's too easy. Yeah, exactly. But then you never know. Then again, the plot, the book gets you thinking like the characters in the book. Yeah, but are they doing that because they knew that I would think that, and that's why they're doing it?
Yeah.
You never know, right?
It's like, oh my god, I'm Vilchor.
I know. So let's see, where am I? So they all decide, they're leaving. They're on their separate missions, and we're left with Han and Lando in the room together. And this is the first time that Han and Lando have had to speak at length privately since Lando showed up and was a part of this team. And I like that Han asked him, yeah, why are you here? And he said, well, you invited me. Yeah, I know. Why are you here? Lando pursed his lips. To be honest, I've been thinking about, all the stuff that went down between us. I've been thinking that maybe it wasn't as much your fault as I thought at the time. This is a sentiment he echoed to Chewie earlier and Inger, that it wasn't so much you deliberately stiffing us, but more like you just being rotten at picking the people you could trust. Now, that's a loaded line. Lando, of all people, telling Han that he's not good at picking people he can trust, when he goes to trust Lando at Cloud City there. So, yeah, a loaded line there. But you also get this idea that, I don't know, it kind of makes more sense to me because you never had the details in Empire Strikes Back at the time it came out. You never know what something happened that Han could expect a hostile greeting from or regarding, and yet it had to be of the nature that Lando could feasibly forgive easily too, because he did. So it's kind of like, how do you kind of make that feasible? Well, you make it feasible by giving them a long history of this coming and going, this thing happening between them, and Han or Lando gaining an understanding that this is just Han's really, horrible planning and trusting and stuff like that on that level, not so much him trying to be vicious with his, allies. But he does bring up a great, point. They've managed, they've problem solved, they've thought on the fly. But Han says, "You play the hand the best you can." Han said, frowning. "You're trying to make me are you trying to get me to bail on the job?" And Lando says, "I'm trying to make sure you're not in over your head." Lando said, "You're a smuggler, Han. I'm a gambler. We're not con artists or thieves." He jerked his thumb toward the other end of the suite. "As far as I know, none of them have ever done anything on this scale either." He was right, Han knew. This whole thing was rapidly climbing to heights he'd never dreamed of when he got in rolling. The fact that he was having to trust this many people, other people, to know what they were doing just made it worse. Still, it wasn't the first time he'd had to trust people. Usually it worked out all right. Usually. So, again, just echoing that thought of, could one of them either betray or just be a weak link and not be up to the task that they were assigned, So, a lot of trust, a lot of teamwork, a lot of, coming together as strangers immediately thrown into the work together.
Yeah, because we can pretty much assume Lando's not going to blow it.
Yeah.
And Han and Han. I mean, it could be the thing. You got a lot of guts here coming after what you did, kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah. So, and Winter. I don't think Winter is going to win because she's an established character for us now.
Yeah. But maybe she does. Maybe they want you to think that because they know that you would probably think that. Which leads
Stop playing with my mind.
Which leads us to poor Villagor. Here we jump to him, and he's the big baddie. I mean, he's the one that is, according to Inger, had his whole his father and everybody murdered and the stealing, and he's a Black Sun agent. We know that player. He's keeps these blackmail files and whatnot, but he's in a precarious situation that again has already been set up. Quasati coming to him, a Faline leaving the Black Sun and showing up there could only be bad. But the Faline's like, well, I'm not really here for you, but you probably shouldn't not worry that I'm here either, too, so it doesn't give him any kind of comfort.
You know who Villagor reminds me of a little bit?
Who's that?
Sebastian from Notorious.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so many little games he's been played. Yeah, the possibilities.
And if he screws up, then...
Yep, exactly. And you got Sebastian, you got to have sympathy for him too, to a certain degree, because he says, Deja had already.
I don't have sympathy for Villagor yet. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I just mean at least in this scene, because Deja had already set into motion the glitter stem ploy to try and get him to possibly betray the Black Sun and try and make some extra on the side, with this glitter stem racket. And he's thinking, okay, yeah, that doesn't. That they don't show up with this other glitter stem source and tempt me with that at the same time. These Faline are showing up and whatnot. And Villagor scowled. His first impulse was to march up. I'm sorry. We got Shikoa, his head of security. We meet him and such. He says, this wasn't a coincidence, not a chance. Either someone was tweaking Quasati and Black Sun, which was an extraordinarily foolish thing to do, or else the mysterious stranger was one of Quasati's people and the glitter stem offer was a test. A shiver ran up Villagor's back. A test. But a test of what? Villagor's loyalty? Fine. Villagor could pass any test. But which direction was he expected to jump? Was he supposed to tell Quasati about the glitter stem peddler and wait for the Vigo to tell him what to do? That might show weakness and indecision on Villagor's part. Hardly qualities Prince Xizor wanted in any of his sector chiefs. Should he instead look into the matter privately, bringing it to Quasati's attention only after the investigation was complete? But if Quasati caught him midway through the process, it could look as if he were planning to make a deal behind Black Sun's back. That would be a path to a quick anonymous grave. What if there was no right answer? What if she passed judgment on him and this glitter stem test was nothing more than a way of letting Villagor choose the path of his own entrapment? It's just like, I give up. Too many options, too many possibilities. And so I do crack up. Even reading it again, I crack up when he gets to the point where he's just like, tests within tests within tests. Villagor didn't know which way Quasati wanted him to jump. So, and then you got the added notion of Azil being there as a possible competitor, maybe wanting his territory or whatever, because he's got the other part of the blackmail files and such. So, basically, he ends up deciding not to go straight to Quasati and telling them about this, but trying to be competent and handle the matter on his own. He tells Shikoa, his security advisor, to go ahead and move our men into that hotel anyway, even against Quasati's orders, which is, dangerous as well. So that's his quandary. The chapter's not over yet, though. We jump back, not to just to Deja, but to Deja going back to Deshul. So Deja has seemed as though as this extra party from the Empire, that he's just there to kind of hold back, not really take a lot of risks, but just kind of complicate things for others. But it turns out that even Deja and Deshul have their own little risks and things they're doing because they're there as agents of the minister of whatever it was there. But that minister is on his way out too. So if they are linked to him when he goes out, then they're doomed. And so basically whatever they're doing there, getting these files needs to be successful no matter what, especially for Deja, because Deshul can probably wing by on his aristocratic clout there. But everybody's hanging by a thread. The tension mounting on top of the tension, and it's not too much because we jump to each character to learn this, and again, we're just spending about an hour on it here tonight, but you could even map this out and see how the scenes go, and you could look at that literal mountain going up the hill of the plot, up to the climax, and you could see the peaks and valleys that it goes through, and it's a good little, there's no one way to do it, but for a heist story, this is pretty spot on. It's good solid stuff. So, that was Deshul and Inger. Then we jump back to Han at the very end of chapter 8.
Deja.
No, Han.
No, you said Deja, and you said...
Yeah, we had that Deshul and Deja thing there.
Yeah, but you said Inger. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yep. So then we jump back to Han here, and he's been warned by Lando. He knows everything. He knows that he's got this flaw of maybe trusting the wrong people, and this whole thing is snowballed to the point where he's got to trust a lot of people. He doesn't necessarily know if he can trust, so how is he going to cover himself? And we don't even know that on our own yet. But he wants to send Dozer on a special mission. We don't know what it is, but we know it's supposed to be something as sort of a backup. It hints at anyway, because he says, maybe Lando was right. He does trust the wrong people. So he sends Dozer, but of all people to send, it's Dozer, one of the suspected possible weak links, in the crew. This is either a genius move or an idiot move, you never know.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what the mission is. I mean,
exactly.
It could be something just to get his confidence back up too.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I got the, even, again, just trying to think of it as to what at this point. He thought about it a while long. This is Han. He thought about it a while longer. Then, prying himself out of the chair, he went to search of Dozer. Considering how the other been blah blah blah, he found Dozer. Sorry. Lando was right about another thing. Sometimes Han trusted in people turned out to be badly misplaced. He thought about it a while longer. Then, prying himself out of his chair, he went to search for Dozer. So, yeah, it could be for Dozer's benefit. That could be part of it, but you get the idea that somehow it's some sort of security too, due to what Lando said. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did like the little memory of Princess Leia too, that he kind of has. Maybe that's what he liked most about Leia as a princess of Alderaan. She had plenty of power, more than most people would ever dream of, yet she tossed it aside for what she considered to be a higher and nobler cause. Whether it was higher cause, or of course whether it was just a fancy way of committing suicide, still remains to be seen.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that helps us if you do know the Thrawn trilogy. If you are invested in what became of Han's character arc, it helps us ground this moment in it, and helps us care about this pre-changed Han still the same way. That's the Han he's heading to. That Leia influence on him and stuff.
Yeah, she's in his head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff too. So that is our readings for tonight. We finished up chapter 8. We're going to stick with the 4-chapter format. I think that's good. It's a little bit less than before. So next week we'll go through 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Okay.
Look at me counting by 4s like a champ.
Wow.
I homeschool Alyssa, and of course, she's wonderful at reading and all that kind of stuff. She doesn't have a natural affinity towards math either, because I guess like father, like daughter. But she brought me this. We use a number of different sources and curriculum, but one of the things I use with her is ABC Mouse, which is a good sort of supplement. And she brought this this game to me. It's like at the 1st or 2nd grade level. I forget what it was, and it's add all of the flat plane shapes that you would need to make the 3-dimensional shape. So, like, what shapes do you need to make a cube? Add them to the machine. It is embarrassing, and I will not tell you exactly how long it took me to figure this out. We can analyze a book all day long. Get me to think left-brained about math and geometry and numbers, and yeah. And she was getting frustrated too. She's like, "Get the answer! I want to proceed and progress. I'm like, I don't know, Daddy's an idiot. I eventually got it though. I learned. Even an old prof can be taught new things occasionally. So
occasionally, yeah.
Any closing thoughts of yours on the book? We can probably anything else you want to say about the book before we leave that topic.
No, just like I said, it is a definite change of pace from what we've been doing for the last 3 books, the trilogy. Because the trilogy, it was some familiar Star Wars type story, whereas this is much different, although it has familiar characters.
Yeah.
So there's a comfort level you have with Han, Chewie, Lando, and even now a little bit with Winter, but yeah, it's just like I said, it's a little different. Still just getting used to the flow, and what the stakes are, how it's progressing.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yep, it's good stuff. And we'll see. We're moving into, they've had their little preliminary heist. They've had the initial challenges, and now they're going to move into the heavier content. So this will be it's not. I think it's always 28, 29 chapters altogether. So it's not too crazy long. So. How many? Oh, yep. Sound Aggravator says hit those likes, please do. I need to refresh my.
Hit them, smash them, destroy the likes.
You wouldn't like Albaca when he's angry.
Oh, I can't do it tonight.
That was actually okay. I like it. Tom Spiegel said loaded line in the Star Wars radio play too. When Vader interrogates Leia, he drugs her, asks for the plans by telling her he's Bail Organa, and says, "This is the voice of your father." Oh, nice. I haven't had the radio drama yet. That's one thing. It's kind of a staple Star Wars thing I need to check into.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've heard those.
Yeah.
I remember Perry King being Han Solo, and that's for some reason has always stuck with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. Mastic thinks that Dozer's a red herring. Okay, so.
Well, like I said, I do too, unless, of course. Well, nope. Going into a brain spiral.
Troy Pacelli says, I like the author's use of EU canon and interconnectivity. Yeah, exactly. And plus, when it's Timothy Zahn himself, like the guy who kind of spearheaded the EU, along with Dark Empire and such like that. But yeah, no, it's good stuff to be able to tie in those things. But I think you can go overboard with that too. I think you can try and tie in too much, and maybe it's in the sentiment or the impetus of fan service or whatever. But you can go too far with it. You want to go ahead and tell your own story. There needs to be a right balance. And I think he strikes it. I agree with you. Yeah.
Sound Engraver is feeling her lack of grammar.
Oh, hit them like, yeah. Sorry, Prof. I believe the proper way to say that is hit those likes, please. Exactly. Yeah. Although Al's dang it right afterwards was rather complimentary. So does make concessions for the style. He drew from the Marvel runs. Did he draw from the Marvel ones that predated the EU? Is that what you're saying, Troy? Because that's cool. I'd like to know what. Maybe you have to message me that later. What are the things that he pulled from the pre-EU Marvel comics? That'd be awesome. I'd like to know that. Definitely. And yeah, I agree, Sound Gravy. Yeah, as I've said before, for Star Wars, Luke is the be all for me there, to some degree, and I love, and the Jedi are so central to it. But it's nice to see that you can pull off stories that don't need to include the Jedi, training and the Jedi way and stuff like that, and go with the smugglers and the scoundrel. Han's the next biggest, character to roll with. That's perfect. So. You sound like you're going to say something, Al. Or you just?
I was going to be as smart on I could go. I think Chewie is actually the biggest character.
Chewie's great. No lie.
Until you get to Jabba. But anyway, that's a whole other kind of big.
Okay.
Make you spit something there.
No, my throat. I'm a little done with the public speaking at this point because I've rolled with that initial video, and I was a little worried too because I've had a a busy and jumbled day. A great day with Alyssa, but there was a little bit tense and running around because some things were going on, and I wanted to get that video out. I wanted to get the content out because it was really important to me to have that video, and I thought, well, I don't have time to record it, so I'll just go ahead and do it, tack it on at the beginning of the stream. But I thought, yeah, but if you do that, even though you prepared your notes, you're going to be flying by the seat of your pants a little bit there. And I just knew I was going to miss things or sound kind of, I don't know. I'll go back and listen to it. Maybe I will think I'm sounding incoherent. But if memory serves, I think it came off pretty well. So, but after all of that, and then after all of the exposition of the chapters, I'm done.
I didn't even know you had gone live until I just happened to go on YouTube and saw that it said live. I was like, what?
Yeah, I can talk with this public speaking thing. Whew, I need to be able to hack and cough and drink some soda in between. Mm-hmm. Melissa Harris said this would make a great film. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I think Sound Engraver had said that in the Facebook group too, like an indie film or something. But it's so concise and compact. You don't need to know much of anything about the Star Wars universe. You really don't need to know anything about the Star Wars universe other than it's set in space, because everything you need to know about this plot is told there, and it's so nicely paced with its own tension and its own scenes and everything. So it's it would make a great film, definitely. Chewie or Pelion, Al?
Don't do that to me.
I didn't. Sound Engraver's asking you.
Well,
the chat wants to know, Al.
You see, first of all, I'm already thinking of the buddy movie.
Of Pelion and Chewie.
The road to Tatooine. We're on a road. Sorry, like Hope and Crosby, Pelion and Chewie.
That's funny. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's interesting to see what characters you latch onto, because obviously I knew you're a Chewie fan, but Pelion was cool to see.
I like all the characters, but I do sometimes I just find a character for some reason I just kind of gravitate to for some odd reason. They do something and I'm just like, I kind of dig that, and I just kind of stay with them unless they do something else stupid. But Elliot never did. Of course, Chewie's always been a major thing, and having met Chewie in my life which was a wonderful thing. Had a nice little chat with the late great Peter Mayhew once. Was a nice. Yeah, huge hands.
I'm sure. Yeah, I imagine. Mr. Matchstick thinks that Farrier's Wraith is going to end up here. That's interesting. The Wraith might be invisible in all the scenes, but because we've known, Mazik made an appearance. At least his name made an appearance. He's the one that sent Winter, and then you could easily imagine Farrier or any of the other, or even Card himself showing up or something at some point. Thrawn himself showing up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. I was doing the reversal. Never mind. Stephen Cruz says, who would win in a fight, Big Al, Chewie or Bigfoot?
Are you kidding? They're going to have a barbecue.
Long lost brothers.
Mm-hmm. Long lost cousins of Kashyyyk.
Ontavious, I like that name. The radio dramas were so well crafted, in my opinion. I ranked them higher than the movie. Wow, that's high praise. I know they're supposed to be really good. I'm definitely looking forward to checking them out. But wow, Netter, I don't know what those numbers are for. What's that? 6546. Is that that slip of the keyboard, or am I supposed to? Did we ask a question about numbers and I'm just not? Because you know me and numbers. Sounded great. You think we can go through this whole without saying Thrawn? Okay, I'll settle for one book study video. Everything needs. I think I did. Didn't I last time compare Deja to Thrawn 2? I think so. Well, for those of us who aren't sipping their onion-flavored Kool-Aid, we are just fine with Thrawn.
I can't wait to talk to you in private about something. I need to tell you something.
Onion-flavored Kool-Aid?
No, but it's in the same vein.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think if I can make it work, you'll appreciate it.
Cool.
But I'm going to tell you what I'm up to.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Netter says, have my dinner keyboard. Please ignore any randomness. Ooh, that's intriguing, because I'm thinking, is that somebody said code? I'm like, what is 6546? Mm-hmm. Did she Was she shopping and that's her PIN number she accidentally typed in the chat? So sounded drink the Kool-Aid through my eye. Oh my gosh. Now that's a little visceral for my eye.
What?
I drank the Kool-Aid through my eye. Yikes.
That's either really weird or hardcore.
Exactly. Oh, so true. All right, folks. Well, this has been a blast, as it always is. But as I said, I need to go grab something to drink and do this for a bit, take a break. But thanks for coming out tonight. So this is Thursday. What is the I've heard yes, no, then yes again, then possibly no for Fan Man tomorrow.
Fan Man tonight will happen tomorrow night. It'll be a discussion. I think he said at 8:00.
Okay,
but I don't know what 8. I don't know which 8.
Which 8? That's right. Yeah, he didn't say our 8 or his 8. Yeah, right.
Now that I think about it, I have no clue, and I was all thinking I knew what I was going to do.
And now you're going to ask him. He's not going to answer until it's time to go.
I'll just be waiting for a link.
And then Saturday, remind me, rewatch
we're watching The Lake House.
The Lake House, that's right, on the Netters Network.
Yeah, on the Nets.
Yeah. Troy or Nanette, if you guys are
Netters Network.
That would you're welcome to Netters Network. Her first video, I think, her first stream video, anything.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, cool. Netter said that's nowhere near my PIN number. It's going to be mine now. Plausible deniability. Yeah, and then Sunday. I haven't talked to any of you guys yet, but I kind of want to maybe drop you guys a message and see if you might be interested in finally doing that panel on my Catholic Bible Geek channel on the worship music and stuff like that. The Pacelli, Sound Engraver, and UL, if you want to join. See what this Sunday looks like. If it doesn't really look like a great fit, we can always move it to another one. But I do. I had 2 videos in a perfect world I was wanting to finish today. This one on the Trickster that I talked about today, and then also the next Catholic Bible Geek video, which is all mapped out and noted out too. So I can be able to hopefully go ahead and record that one tomorrow, or Saturday. As long as I get it out by the end of the weekend, that'll be good. So that's content coming from me. There's no Weeb Watch this Sunday. But we do have the next couple of weeks of Tuesday Night Noir scheduled out. So this Tuesday is going to be Kiss Me Deadly, which is in the public domain, and it's actually a wonderfully high resolution copy. It is on YouTube. Just search for it. Kiss Me Deadly.
Was that the song I was singing?
That was it. That was the song. We were trying to think of that. What that?
I was trying to think of it. I couldn't remember it was. Kiss Me Deadly.
No, there goes this monetization too. I checked, and they were like, limited monetization for this stream. Of course, because all the singing.
You can cut that out later.
That's true. But yeah, Kiss Me Deadly Tuesday, and then the Tuesday after that, because everybody seems to really want to continue with the noir thing, which I'm more than happy to do. I just didn't want to think I was overkilling anybody with it. But we're gonna do Laura, the Otto Preminger film.
No, Out of the Past.
Out of the Past. I'm sorry. Out of the Past with Robert Mitchum and Jane Greer, the amazing film. As I said, Jane Greer's femme fatale in that film is right up there with Barbara Stanwyck in Double Indemnity for me personally. I'd like to see what you guys think. The week after that, I decided Laura, the Otto Preminger film with Gene Tierney, and even a rare non-horror role of Vincent Price. It's pretty fun to see him do something different.
Yes, and of course, next Saturday on my channel, the 11th, the rewatch will be Forbidden Planet. And then 2 weeks following that, on the, 25th? On the 25th, I have decided we are going to be watching the 1980s classic sci-fi movie Crawl.
Yeah, cool. I will be there for Forbidden Planet. Maybe not Crawl, but I will be there for Forbidden Planet. That'll be a fun experience.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. That's just a great movie.
Yep. I think we've gone too over the map for anybody to really follow where we're going schedule-wise. But in case anything catches your mind, Mr. Matchstick, next Sunday's we watch is the first 6 eps of Cowboy Bebop.
Yes, we know what we're doing, but yeah, and everybody's a little different. But I have a special treat coming soon. A choice between 3 Burt Reynolds movies.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, sing it.
What?
Your song that you love to sing.
I love to dance a little sidestep. Now they see me, now they know that I'm man gone.
Oh my gosh. I just dropped the link to the Facebook group. That's actually technically a link. I just put the URL because I finally made a custom URL. But all these links and all these heads ups and announcements are all there. So come and join us.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Love you all dearly. Great time every week we get to spend together. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.
#respect the Wookiee.